A warm welcome back to Itajai in Brazil, where it's ProAm day for the Volvo Ocean Race. We've had 2 races so far, and this is the 3rd and final one. A slightly truncated fleet of 4 out on the water. We can see Puma, Ocean Racing powered by Berg, Camper with Emirates Team New Zealand, Groupama and Team Telefonica. That was moving from right to left. The boat's moving from left to right, in fact, as they limber up ready for the start of this short little race. And we started off by calling this a very gentle reintroduction for the sailors after the rigours of the Southern Ocean, and it has been that, but there's a few more ripples on the water, Peter Lester, and there's a little bit more breeze.
Yeah, the wind's up just a little from the race 2, or race 1 was very light. Race 2, they sort of drifted around the track, but it has just come in from the north, and I would say now, looking at wind on the water, probably around 3 or 4 knots, so at the top of the mast they might be seeing 6 maybe, and that will be enough for these boats to do a pre-start. We're just coming up 3:05 to go, 3 minutes and 5 seconds, as we go on board Groupama with their special guests up on the foredeck. Put the weight forward to try and just reduce the wetted surface. Big aft sections on these boats for power reaching, as they've just done down in the Southern Ocean. But in this light stuff, really, you want to reduce the wetted surface. They do that by just distributing the weight of the crew for the further forward, and no doubt the equipment down below has been put forward as well. You look at the boats, you can see how big and full they are through the aft sections. But my word, they are potent when they get into the race mode. There's the race management team. It all looks very calm and collected out there, Martin.
Looks nice, warm, relaxed, sunny, because that's exactly what it is here at Itajai. Beautiful day, gorgeous place, lovely people. We're all having a ball here. It's just an absolute delight, and what a lovely place for these guys to finally arrive in and get a bit of respite from the incredible battering they had. I mean, here we've got 4 boats. Well, only Puma did not suffer some kind of structural damage on that leg. Here on Camper, they had to sail an extra 2,500 miles, nursing the boat after doing some very serious damage up in the bow. And we've talked to them about what went on, and it was a pretty, well, harrowing experience, I'm sure, when you're looking at 100 miles from the most remote spot on Earth and wondering if your boat's going to stay afloat. Stay afloat it did, thanks to the skills of the crew. Brilliant seamanship, and they got back on Camper and got all their repair work done. And then Telefonica had a pit stop, 17 hours near Cape Horn to strengthen up their bow, and shortly, well, I think about 650 miles before the finish, Groupama lost its rig. This boat here, the rig fell down. They had to whip into Punta del Este. The shore crew again won an award for this last night at the prize giving, did an amazing job, built a little jury rig in Punta del Este, sent the crew on their way with a stump of a mast, sailed back to collect the points, and got 3rd place. Quite remarkable. Yeah,
absolutely. I think the seamanship shown by many of the crews remarkable in those conditions in the Southern Ocean. But now we're coming up 10 seconds or 6 seconds to go. 3rd Pro-Am race. Up to windward this time we've got Puma, and to me they look to be in the box seat as we look at Camper coming off the line with pace as well. And what it's about is what boat has the most bow wash coming off, and look at Puma, she's just pushing a little bit more water than Camper. And down to leeward there, Telefonica had to squeeze around the pin end. So it's Puma, Camper, for me, that have got the nice start in this race. And we can already see, look at the speed difference with Groupama and Telefonica a bit jammed up. Camper and Puma up to windward have done the time on distance start, and so they will, I'm sure, dominate this first leg. They go out to a reaching mark. They're not quite on the wind. It's more of a lay through and then a back down towards the start finishing line area. And really the whole object of the exercise is to give the special guests on board a little bit of a taste as what it's like to sail on board a Volvo 70.
Tell you what I think is significant here, Peter, that this is the third race. It's got the most wind to it, and it's certainly that little bit of intensity that we talked about beforehand, that even if this is professional amateur race, pro-am racing, and essentially a lot of fun, you can just see that they all were jockeying there. This is the final practice before, effectively a final practice race before the import tomorrow, and they're trying to make the most of it.
They certainly are. Every time on the water, really important. You learn, and it's Camper who look like they've just got their bow forward. They're in quite a strong position. Off the line, it looked like Puma were looking very strong. As we go down on board, we go down to Groupama. Groupama look like they might be being rolled by the boat to windward, which will be Telefonica. And the other thing is this course was set up to be a reaching course. In fact, it's gone to be on the wind. We can see the mark up there. As we go back to animation, Virtual is showing Camper maybe just laying that top mark, speed up to 8 knots. So as we predicted before the start, the wind is up a little bit. At the top of the mast, they're probably reading 6 or 7 knots now as we go on board Puma. So Puma are the boat most to win. They started up towards the orange marker, so that was the windward spot. But it's, again, Camper have got their bow forward. We can see the effect there that Groupama down to leeward with the green sails. They're being affected immediately by the boat to windward, which is Telefonica. And Telefonica, if Camper can roll over the top and press, they will be affected by that wind shadow that comes off the back of the sails. Big wind shadow. Goes about on a radius of 5 mast heights, so you're looking at what, nearly 450 meters. The wind shadowing effect coming off the trailing edge of the sails. Camper look like they might be right on that ley line, Martin, but this has turned into a little bit of an upwind.
It's also turned into a little bit of a race, and I know it is meant to be, but I guess that, as you were saying, time on the water, they want to try and make the most of this, and there's always a point to prove, no matter what any of them says about, oh well, it doesn't really matter. Well, of course it does. And this is Camper trying to show that they can. Oh, are they going to make the ley line there?
Well, the key will be,
coming up.
Can Camper get up and get actually around the mark? We can see the windward boat, the boat on the left there on that shot. Yeah, Camper on the ley line. There's the mark. So they're going to do basically a left-hand turn. They'll come into the mark. Nicholson will wind the boat down to the left. The canting keel will act as a little bit of a, they can do a roll jibe using that canting keel from one side to the other. We'll watch that as the boat goes round. They will literally roll the boat round the mark with the assistance of changing the keel from one side to the other. You'll see as Camper now comes in, and then the keel will be right out to the right-hand side, and that pulls the boat over to windward and changes the geometry of the sails with the assistance of the keel and, of course, with the rotation of the boat. So here's a classic example there of Camper going round, big roll jibe. Next to be in at the mark, looks like inside the zone, if they can lay, will be Telefonica. So Telefonica managed to squeeze up, and that has meant they got inside the zone. The windward boat, which is Puma, required to keep clear. So Telefonica around second.
I wonder if the certain sharpness that we're seeing on the Camper with Emirates Team New Zealand boat is a reflection of the fact that they haven't been long off the water. They've only had a couple of days here, and they were champing at the bit to get back into the action, even though they've only had really sort of 2 days rest for the crew. But they did say that they'd had a good run round from Chile round into Itajai, but it's been a couple of weeks, I guess, since these guys had a real bash in the boat.
Yes, Camper have only been in a couple of days from their very adventurous trip up from Chile, round Cape Horn. As we look now, just Groupama to come. Gee, it's got light. Now, the reason being is the boats ahead really have chopped up all that wind. The wind's still light, and what was left of it really has been sucked away by Puma and Telefonica going around the mark. It's really like a big food mixer, mixes up all the wind, and when it's so light, it takes quite a long time for the light zephyr to gently run down over the course again as Puma come round the first mark, the Volvo Ocean Race yellow inflatable buoy. So Frank Camas on the helm as he brings the boat around. This boat broke its mast in the leg from Auckland to Itajai. And, you know, talking to the crew, talking to Brad Marsh, the crewman on board yesterday, they felt they had a piece of it, Martin, that leg. He felt that when the mast broke, and it was only in moderate conditions, really, so something had failed. Brad Marsh, who is the bowman on board Groupama, was telling us they felt they had a piece. They were getting in a very strong position against Puma, but boy, reliability, that'll be the call mark, I think, of this Volvo Ocean Race.
Well, Hall, I think what it's also shown quite clearly is that this race ain't over till it is over. And you know, we thought that, you know, Groupama were in such terrific shape, and then it really, and as we were talking with the crew yesterday, you know, when it fell down, it was just moderate conditions. Yeah. It wasn't as though they were on the wind. There was no real sea to speak of. And then just suddenly bang, and they're still trying to analyse exactly what went wrong.
Well, you've got to assume the damage would have been done when they were in the Southern Ocean, and maybe in some ways they were fortunate that, if you can ever be fortunate breaking your mast, that it actually broke relatively close to the coast, and they were able to get into Punta del Este and make repairs and then finish the leg. And again, a remarkable effort by the whole the Groupama team.
But that whole, in many ways, you know, they're recovering from a leg that was giving a bit of guidance to one of his guests at the helm of Puma, powered by Berg propulsion. And what a moment that is for this young man here at the wheel of one of these. Well, they're just the greatest yachts of their kind in the world, certainly the fastest. That's Ken Reid getting him to get on a bit. He'd be an entertaining host, wouldn't he?
Oh yes, I think Ken there does. The guy with the red hat, his turn to have a helm. The captain of the ship, Kenny Reid, just saying, come on, you're next, get on here. And you even get the shot from Amy Ross to put in the album. It's pretty special as we go back to virtual eye to have a look at Camper coming in towards Mark 2. My understanding, we've got 2 laps as Camper will come into the orange Volvo Ocean Race marker. They will tack around the mark. Again, we will see this time, I'm sure, a roll tack with the assistance of the canting keel.
I think you can hear it cranking there. That graunching noise, a little bit of, sounds a bit like a waste disposal unit. Is the keel being cranked across from one side to the other?
Well, that wasn't as pronounced. I don't think they really pushed the cant that time to heel the boat around the mark. So Camper around Mark 2, they lead from Telefonica. Then we go back to Groupama. No, back to Puma and then Groupama. So Telefonica will be next into the mark as Camper leave. Still lovely conditions, only on the water probably 3 or 4 knots, a little bit more at the top of the mast.
Telefonica and those distinctive blue shirts flying into the mark, and as is that a guest up on the, just want to see the name on the back there. Over here, certainly not EK Martinez, I don't think, so maybe that's a guest, I think, having a turn, then running across to get onto the
Well, you saw the function there of the keel. The boat came around and the keel would have been canted out on the left-hand side. That meant it really, as we would do in a dinghy, where you do a roll tack or roll jibe. It's amazing to think that you can get that same effect with the use of the keel. So it's the Telefonica team that used the keel there to help the boat around the mark as Puma comes in. Kenny Reed's taken over. Is Kenny back on the helm there?
Yeah, that's Kenny. For
the mark rounding.
Here they come. Great paint job on this boat. There's the Puma up in the bow, and then a Mamostro, the big octopusy looking thing, which is also a big feature of the Ocean Race Village, and the Puma bar became a popular spot around the world in the village. Frank Camas still at the helm of Groupama. I think I can feel, I don't know how you feel about it, Peter, but there's definitely, you know, we're just past the halfway stage of this race. Telefonica is looking strong, but everything that went on in that Southern Ocean suggested that it ain't over by a long chalk, and that you've got to keep pushing, and everybody's still really everybody is still in with a shot, and I think you can feel that this race is humming. It's really in the middle.
It's an offshore race, and my word, in the hours of darkness and in the ocean, it's about keeping these boats going at 100%, and that takes huge effort over what the legs have been averaging out somewhere between 15 to 21 days, and that's an enormous amount of work for 11 guys to keep these boats going at that level. Certainly Telefonica look very strong, but no one knows better than them, Martin, and their attention to detail here has been impressive. That they know, for them to hold on to that substantial lead they've got, they cannot afford anything to go wrong. We understand that yesterday, in fact, they were out and they touched a rock out here, or touched the bottom. Attention to detail, the boat came in, it was taken out of the water. No damage, thank goodness, to Telefonica, but they weren't prepared just to say, no, it's okay, the boat was taken out of the water, some small cosmetic repairs done, but she's back in the water again now. And that just, I think, again, epitomizes the campaigns that we're seeing, is how careful they are with the boats for the Volvo Ocean Race. On leg 3 of this Pro-Am day, we've got Camper now heading towards that top mark again. They lead, they'll come around the mark, they'll jibe, and then head back to the start finish area. So the finish area, which is down there, we can see the two yellow zone marking areas on the animation. Well, this is as good as it's been today, Martin, in terms of conditions.
The guest on the left there, he's getting the best of the day. He'll be getting a bit of fun, letting you actually turn the corner. That's pretty good. Oh, a little bit of aerial ballet up the rig.
Well, the issue up there is with these sails on these boats, they've got battens in the genoas, and that means they have positive roach in the genoa, especially in the head. And in the light air, you need the crewmen up the mast to assist in the jibe, so that the sail goes through the spreaders, and that means the trimmers can sheet on again as we are on board Telefonica. Full court press on the foredeck with the guests, just to again reduce that wetted surface. And it is Telefonica heading up towards that third mark. They now go into the jibe.
Spanish flag on the stern. Nice aerial pictures. Just looking at our chopper there. And This is, I think, the guest still at the helm. So treats all round. There he goes. Wow, what an honour. And as we've said before, he'll be talking about that for a very long time to come.
Well, another honour will be that Iker Martinez off to the Olympics.
Yep.
Again, for Spain. I believe that nomination was announced since we've been here in Itajai. So Iker Martinez will be representing Spain at the Olympics in the 49er class.
With his long-time compatriot Xabi Fernandez.
And they've had a phenomenal track record in that class. And, you know, he's a class act. When you can sail the Volvo Ocean Race and then the next campaign you're into the Olympics sailing a high performance
within
skip.
a couple of weeks.
It's amazing.
Well, in Auckland, Iker and Xabi had a couple of afternoons out on Auckland Harbour in a 49er, the skiff. Swapped the 70-footer for the little 49er and had some practice racing against a couple of Kiwi Olympic hopefuls, Peter Burling and Blair Tuke, who'd organised an extra 49er for them because they wanted to have a bit of a tune-up against the best in the world. And very successful it was, and it was very interesting to watch, and really interesting to think that, you know, it shows their commitment that Iker Martinez and Xabi Fernandez would give up their own time, which was in very short supply, in what was a very tight turnover, stopover in the City of Sails, to go and do a little bit of Olympic yachting. But I understand they're going to try and do more, maybe up in Miami. They'll have a 49er sorted out there.
I thought a nice touch, because in the VIP race in Auckland,
the ProAm,
they replayed, you know, there was a reciprocal generosity where the Kiwi 49er crew were on board Telefonica, and they enjoyed a day out on the water with Iker Martinez. As we look on board Groupama. Groupama broke a mast, so they are now on their second mast. My understanding it's the first version of their development, so the mast that they broke would have been the development of this mast that's in, but of course any modifications that they had on their actual race masts, I'm sure, have been transferred over. So Groupama will be, I'm sure, now tuned up for the leg up to Miami. As we look there on board Virtual, coming down to the finishing line, that was actually the starting area. We've got a orange marker and a white marker. The orange end of the finishing line will be on the left-hand side. As Camper now head down, we can see the New Zealand and Spanish flag, so it's dual flagged for Camper. Successful day, Martin. I mean, it was looking a bit light this morning, but I think it's gone off a treat. And these three VIP races, what an opportunity for the VIPs here in Itajai.
I think that's crossed the line. I think that might have been a wave back there from this guest to signal double bragging rights for Camper with Emirates Team New Zealand as they scoot across the line. And yes, there's the big cheer. That was the toot. And very nice, very warm, shaking of hands, good pat on the back, well done, job nicely done. Right, back to the bar now probably, and a little
probably
bit of a prize
giving. First round, actually.
Yeah. I think he'll do so with some delight. Camper looking good out there on the water today, as indeed is Telefonica, which is about to cross the line shortly. And more pictures, more snaps for the guests all coming back now. And well, you can see what it means. I mean, we laugh about it being bragging rights, but it is.
No, that's a thrill.
Everybody loves a winner, and everybody loves to win. Yeah.
Special moment, in you know, in terms of the guests on board. They will talk about it with their friends. As Telefonica now comes down, they take second.
And you could just see earlier in that shot the backdrop of this the big port in the just behind the river mouth entrance here where we're sailing. Ike Martinez on Telefonica follows in a minute and 1 second behind as the team photos taken. That'll be on home and office walls around wherever these people have come from. I'm not quite sure what the programme has been here. I know that certainly we know that a lot of the sponsors like Berg have flown people in from all over the world to come for the restarts and import race and have a chance to sail on one of these ProAm events. Part of the reward for dipping into your pocket, getting the wallet out and saying, come on, let's see you race around the world with our name on your boat. Beautiful out there. We're looking out it's a very narrow little entrance that they're going to come back into here. We've seen some huge container ships and the like negotiating it with some confidence, heading up towards all the port facilities that are behind where we are now, behind the race village. Very nice setup. There are huge crowds here. And the breakwater was chock-a-block when the boats were coming in, and I think safely expect that we'll see huge crowds here tomorrow, Pete.
I'm sure it'll be massive here in port tomorrow, Saturday. Lots of interest, as there is for the Volvo Ocean Race when it goes into port, as Puma are going to sneak over the line just ahead of Groupama. So Kenny Reid and his special guests on board come down over the line. A happy punter, fingers up, thumb up. As Groupama and Frank Thomas and his team come over the line.
You look at that spread, you know, and there's a 3-minute spread for a race that's lasted about 20 minutes. And then you look back and think that, you know, the finish of this race here between Puma Ocean Racing powered by Berg and Telefonica, the gap was only 12 minutes after 3,700 miles, and when they went into Auckland after a similarly huge distance, it was a minute 33 between Telefonica and Camper. Absolutely amazing
close finishes. I think back and when the boats came from Cape Town to the
under 2
safe
minutes.
haven.
Yeah.
Who was that? That was
Camper
and Telefonica.
Yeah, 2 minutes.
They battled it out to the line, so it's amazing that they can sail thousands of miles and similar finish to what we've seen today.
Now look at the wording. I just saw the wording on that lighthouse that Vido ad extremo, which I presume means life at the extreme, and one of the Volvo Ocean Racing mottos. Motto for the village, actually, here, not for the village, but for the port of Itajai, is quality of life. Well, I wonder what they would have thought of the quality of life of those guys as they were thundering through the Southern Ocean, living life at the extreme and on the edge. We'll find that out tomorrow, because or you'll be able to see it tomorrow, because we'll be leading a little example of what the racing was like just before the import race. So that's what we're going to be looking forward to tomorrow. We're going to leave you now with these shots of Itajai as our helicopter takes you up the river. There's the race village in the foreground, the port in the back, and then that big hinterland of 300,000 people, a lot of whom are going to be here tomorrow for the import race here in Itajai. We look forward to bringing you that race, and we hope you've enjoyed today's coverage, and you're going to certainly enjoy the racing tomorrow. Hopefully 5 boats on the line as they contest for vital points in this latest stage of the Volvo Ocean Race.